Now, Klay Thompson is arguably one of the greatest shooters the NBA has ever seen, and once again has displayed his greatness all season long. From setting 3-point records to dropping 50+ points in games where he barely dribbles the ball, at times it seems like the only player you can compare him to is his Splash Brother teammate Steph. But he's continued to dominate his role and has endorsement deals like no other in the league. With Klay being a one-of-a-kind type of player, he's also signed a one-of-a-kind shoe deal with a China-based company, Anta. Always being under the spotlight, you'd think that Klay would go with a more mainstream brand, but instead he chose to become a face of an unpopular brand, which actually secured him a 10-year contract extension worth $80 million. Now, Thompson had originally signed with the company in 2014, introduced his first signature sneaker in 2015, and has had a couple more come out since. In an interview with DePaula, Klay actually admitted that he didn't know much about the company before he signed his deal. The main reason for him signing here compared to a brand like Nike, Jordan, or Adidas was the creative control he'd have, and also getting his own signature shoe rather than just being a piece of a superstar-filled roster. Aside from Klay, Rajon Rondo is the only active player in the NBA rocking their shoes. So you could honestly say that Anta struck gold by scooping Klay up, signing him back in 2014, as his contract will stretch beyond his prime years in the league. Now, Damian is arguably one of the most underrated players in the NBA today, but the Portland organization definitely hasn't taken his loyalty for granted since they drafted him in 2012. He began his career winning Rookie of the Year, has hit countless clutch shots to carry his team to victory over the years, and has become a 4-time All-Star while even dominating during those games and continues to improve each season. Huge brands love guards that have the ball in their hands most of the time, and Adidas love the way that Lillard handles himself both on and off the court. Now, it turns out that Lillard signed a 10-year deal with Adidas back in 2014 and is expected to earn over $100 million during its span. And signing this deal makes him one of the highest earning endorsers in the league today. With this, he had plenty of incentives and options, and apparently Damian even said that Adidas has been great to him his first couple of seasons with them, and has had great opportunities wearing great products, also having creative control around his own signature shoe style, which he's released different variations over the 5 years. Now, Derrick Rose has continued to be an icon throughout his career in the NBA despite battling numerous injuries. Being drafted with the first pick to his hometown Bulls, winning Rookie of the Year's first ever season, and also becoming the youngest MVP in NBA history were just the beginning as he carried Chicago into the playoffs. Now, injuries sidelined Rose and definitely took a toll on his career, but Adidas has stuck with him every step of the way up until now, while he continues to revamp his career in Minnesota. With D-Rose being extremely marketable from his ridiculous playstyle early on, and now his inspirational story throughout the remainder of his career, he's become the second highest paid Adidas athlete behind only James Harden. Back in 2012, Rose signed a 13-year, $185 million deal right before tearing his ACL, and his 40-page contract ended up having extra clauses, to where even Reggie Rose, his older brother, is paid between $250,000 and $300,000 annually as a consultant, and even one of his childhood friends gets between $50,000 to $75,000 for similar services. But this contract proves how far shoe companies are willing to go to afford the league's best, since they know these names are bigger than basketball, with any highlight they do becoming a trending topic, or even a hilarious reaction turning into a meme. But Derrick Rose has had many designs and colorways throughout his career, including over 10 variations of his signature shoes. Now, Kyrie Irving has always been one of the league's most marketable players, from his flashy handles to the ability to score on the floor at any given time. Kyrie has earned all-star appearances year after year, and even added an NBA championship to the city of Cleveland along with the greatest shot in NBA Finals history. With sneaker brands loving point guards, it seems fit that Kyrie is a signature shoe with the biggest brand in Nike, but why did he choose this? Now, apparently growing up, Kyrie idolized LeBron James' signature shoe line and would even rock a couple pairs. Kyrie loved all the different colors and designs that Nike came up with for LeBron, so once he signed and became a signature athlete for them as well, he had known that his dreams had become reality. He's put himself in a position to win both on and off the court, becoming bigger than basketball. And he's getting $8 million annually, which is considered a steal since in 2016, his own signature shoes ended up being the second best selling shoe. Nike has learned a lot from LeBron and Kobe that actually became incorporated into Kyrie's line. For example, they think of shoes in a series of 3 and build on that concept for 36 months to emphasize it. They even try to fit a shoe perfectly crafted to Kyrie's playstyle, which included a lot of traction, as they noticed that he spent a lot of time knee close to the ground and pushing off one side of his foot. That led to his shoes' rounded outsole with traction up the sides that has been the base of his first 3 shoes. But Nike's now on their 5th of his line, as he actually looks to come up on a way bigger deal soon enough, just as he will in free agency in the league. Now, Russell Westbrook has become a face of the league ever since Durant left for Golden State a few years back. We actually seen what he was truly capable of while KD was suffering some injuries during his time with OKC, and Westbrook nearly turned into an automatic triple-double back then, so it's no surprise that he set countless records while averaging a triple-double for the entire season, now 3 years in a row. With him becoming a triple-double king and managing to carry this Thunder team on his back until they acquired Paul George, they've created their very own buzz, story, and spotlight on the organization while battling in the Western Conference. With him being a top 10 player in the league each year, he's clearly been a focus of off-court endorsements as well. It turns out with him recently signing one of the biggest deals in NBA history, re-signing with OKC for $205 million, he also signed a 10-year similar deal with the Jordan brand. On his previous 5-year deal signed a few years back in 2013, Westbrook got exclusives through Jordan brand from the original Jordan series as well as shoes off the court. But with this deal, he'll also become the first to start his own signature series with the brand with a deal that leads well into his retirement. It's always been extremely difficult to become a part of this brand because of it being completely revolving around the GOAT himself of Michael Jordan. So most players sign with a more traditional brand of Nike, Adidas, Puma, or others to basically start a name for themselves. But with Westbrook being a one-of-a-kind player, they believe they acquired a one-of-a-kind for the highly exclusive brand as well, while he'll be heavily involved in the design and creation of his shoes. Now it actually turns out that Westbrook signed the highest paying deal for any of Jordan brand with many perks as well. His contract apparently includes an ambassador clause, which means Jordan brand will be committing to all of his appearances and the ability to add to his legacy after his retirement from basketball, as well as donating money to his Why Not Foundation. Now Russell's style both on and off the court are unique in their own ways, but they have full faith in him, continuing to become legendary based off of his Why Not slogan, which he's continuously represented throughout his career while trying to accomplish the unthinkable, and it's exactly the name that he chose for his signature line of shoes and apparel. Now athletes of today are bigger than basketball. Social media following actually plays a huge factor in these deals as well, and Russ has turned himself into a narrative on the court and celebrity off, constantly posting his unique fashion sense on Instagram where he uses the hashtag Why Not slogan more times than not. Now Paul George is currently having arguably his best season as he's an MVP candidate this year, taking on the main role of OKC alongside Westbrook. Being one of the leading scorers in the league and dominating his own narrative while they chase that top spot in the West, obviously endorsements have a close eye on PG-13. Now it turns out that Paul George just signed the biggest contract of his career with OKC of $137 million, as well as signing a deal with the premier brand of Nike where he's come out with signature shoes over the years. Now how did Paul end up with this brand so early on in his career? His fans. Back then an injury had set back Paul George for the 2014-2015 season while playing with Team USA, and that definitely motivated him to get better, but then he got a call from Nike and that made him hungrier than ever. Nike saw how his fans gravitated and rallied around him during his setback, and his smooth personality mirrored a Nike icon of Penny Hardaway, so they knew they wanted Paul George to sign where he became Nike's 21st signature shoe athlete in the brand's history. Paul George even said in an interview that it was dope for Nike to do what they had done because at the time he was just rehabbing from his injury that went on, and even said for Nike to have that much faith in him after coming back from a devastating moment like that meant a lot, and at that moment he was very emotional. Now believe it or not, recently the brand had controversy stir up surrounding PG's signature apparel, where Zion Williamson had an injury he suffered on the first play of a game with Duke while wearing one of his latest shoes. Basically, the shoe ended up malfunctioning and practically exploded right there in front of everybody. But Paul George actually said in an interview that he personally contacted Nike because of his concern over Zion suffering this. He said, "I take pride in my shoe line. My shoe's been a successful shoe not only in college but in the NBA. A lot of people been in it, a lot of people been wearing them." But believe it or not, last season the Nike PG1s were the most worn shoe in the entire NBA out of all the shoe lines of superstars according to ESPN. Now with James scoring his first MVP last season and coming one game from the NBA Finals, he continues to break NBA records today while averaging 36 points a game this season. He's quickly become a face of the league since coming to Houston and has become a sensation both on and off the court, even signing the biggest deal in NBA history at the time, worth $228 million over 4 years after signing a signature shoe deal with Adidas worth over $200 million over 13 years back in 2015. He was previously with Nike, but Adidas took a chance after seeing his willingness to leave OKC and try to become his own superstar. They respected it and offered him the best deal, which Nike refused to match, and I'm sure they've regretted it since as he continues to get better. But with all of that being said, the Adidas GM actually said, "We're a brand of creators," and James embodies that more than any athlete in the game. His addition to the Adidas basketball family is a game changer. This partnership gives him the opportunity to achieve his goals and express himself in a totally new way as a creator. He's already one of the most recognizable sports figures because of his game, his look, his hunger to win, and his style on and off the court. His ceiling is far from reach, which tells you the future for him and our brand looks incredible. With all of that being said, Harden's Adidas deal will also include off-court signature shoes, apparel collections, and even James traveling on Adidas tours in Europe and Asia. Now Steph Curry has become one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen and has continued to break records and accomplish more as the years go on. Being a 3-time NBA champion and looking for a 4th this year, 2-time MVP and continuing to excel alongside Kevin Durant during the biggest stages, it's definitely safe to say that Steph is one of those players who completely revolutionized the league. Steph's continued success turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes Nike made after blowing their first impression with him earlier in his career. In the pitch meeting with Nike, some of the executives actually pronounced his name wrong and even messed up the PowerPoint by using slides with Kevin Durant's name on it. Now at that point in time, Under Armour then stepped up to the plate and worked alongside Steph to make a remarkable stamp on the basketball community while making him a face of their own brand. In 2015, Steph Curry signed an extension that keeps him with Under Armour until 2024, and with him even having a stake in the company as well, it's pretty unlikely we'll see Steph go anywhere else. Curry even raised shoe sales over 350% and started passing the top guys over at Nike with his various styles, colorways, and designs of his own signature shoe line. Now Durant is considered to be one of the greatest small forwards of all time. Already excelling individually with OKC, then winning multiple titles with the Warriors, his game keeps surpassing others, which makes him a huge asset with whatever organization he ends up with in the near future. Kevin has been a part of Nike since the beginning, signing as a rookie to a 7-year, $60 million deal, then re-signing for 10 years, $300 million back in 2015. Now with that being said, it turns out that he even turned down an offer with Adidas and Under Armour and took less money to sign with Nike. In the 2014 summer, KD was considering making a move from Nike to a different brand. Under Armour, which is actually based in Durant's hometown of Maryland, even reportedly offered KD $285 million as well as a community center in his mom's name. But then Nike offered a 10-year, $300 million contract, which was more than enough to prevent him from taking any other deal. Now in a recent interview with ESPN, Durant talked to shoe free agency and explained that the $300 million was definitely a factor, but it was definitely not the only reason he turned down the other brands. He said, "That process was just too much mentally because I love Nike so much. I knew I had supreme skill that needed to be compensated for, and I knew I played my way into having these negotiations. But I didn't want to start over at Under Armour or Adidas. I knew where I wanted to be, and $300 million was more than enough, and I'm now on my 11th Nike shoe." So with LeBron being drafted into the league in 2003, he was already a sensation on and off the court already, being hyped up as the next GOAT. He signed the biggest rookie shoe deal in NBA history with Nike as he became the premier athlete of the league. His relationship came with the company while he was in high school, but the story behind his decision is actually pretty ridiculous. While he was at St. Vincent St. Mary, he almost always wore Adidas, so how did they miss out on the opportunity to sign him? Well, according to a former marketing executive who was working with Adidas at the time, the company had a chance to land LeBron with a 10-year, $100 million contract, but they ended up lowering its offer to $70 million at the last minute, which allowed Nike to literally swoop in with a $90 million deal and sign the future face of the league. From having his own PowerPoint to having all the signature athlete's shoes in a glass case with an open spot symbolizing this can be you one day, they did whatever it took to convince the chosen one no other company made sense. Then in 2015, LeBron signed a lifetime deal where he would stay with Nike forever, and the contract being worth $1 billion. Now having the most signature styles since Michael Jordan, LeBron has continued to showcase his shoe game both on and off the court with numerous posts on social media always showing unique one-of-a-kind versions, and he never fails to amaze fans with colorways he wears on the court as well. For surpassing 30,000 career points, he even had a customized version of his LeBron 15s dipped in solid gold and covered in diamonds for a one-of-one variation of it, worth $100,000. Now LeBron's even had one of the most popular shoes being worn by current players around the league as well. But with all that being said, what do you guys think of the shoe deals these superstars are a part of today? Let me know in the comments down below.